Yes, it is not chess openings that make you become a better all-round player. You still have to work for your meal in the middle game and in the end game. If anything, I would say the end game is what matters the most, even more than the opening stage. Today I'm going to prove a point by playing a bad opening against a higher rated opponent on Lichess and try to win in the end game, just to show you that indeed studying chess openings alone can't make you become a better all-round player. Why am I doing this? Well, I just got inspired from this video, which I have also linked in the comment section down below, that was published a few minutes ago by the Ask ChessGPT group. You can check out their channel, Ask ChessGPT. So I was excited to see what they were doing. They were answering the question from one of their subscribers, which read, how do I become a better all-round player? Their student is rated 1200 and he mentioned to say he has studied several openings, including the English opening and the King's Indian defense, but he still doesn't see any improvements at all. So after watching that video, I got inspired by how the question was answered and the fact that my friends who are running that channel borrowed my thoughts from this video, where I emphasized more on solving chess puzzles, tactics, and practicing endgames rather than focusing much on openings. If you want to study chess openings, that's fine, but make sure that you're also putting much effort in practicing chess puzzles and tactics. It has to be a balance. You need to balance things, not just studying chess openings alone. If anything, study 30% openings and 70% of tactics and puzzles. Anyway, without wasting much of your time, let me challenge a random chess player on Lichess and somehow mess it in the opening stage and try to come back in the end game. Let's go. Time for the game. I'm playing against a 2292 rated player. There we see pawn to e4. So pawn to g6, d4, pawn to f5. The modern gambit, or the so-called Fianchetto gambit. There we see my opponent just took on f5. Today I just felt like playing a bad opening just to prove a point. So you can see my opponent just played bishop d3. What did I say in my tutorial video? In this position, you should just play queen d6 to stop bishop f4. And from here, you're going to see most of your opponents taking on g6, which is okay, because you simply take back with your h-pawn. But let's see what else my opponent can do in this position, if not taking. So we see the move queen f3. This is what strong players play, because they seem to understand one or two things about these dubious gambits. So the point for today is that I just want to show you guys that it's actually the end game that matters the most, not really the opening stage. And this is for most of you guys who think by specializing in one opening, then you would definitely going to see massive improvement. Nope, that's not how chess works. The opening stage is just one part of the game. You still have to work for your meal in the middle game and in the end game. In this position, bishop takes f5 is the correct move. But if you watched my tutorial video, once again, you can remember that I also encouraged to go knight c6, just attacking the d4 pawn. And I'm just kind of giving white one more chance to take on g6, after which I'm going to take back. Okay, so knight e2 by white. If I want, I can still take back on f5. So with knight e2, by the way, white just defended the d4 pawn. I'm now thinking of developing my bishop on h6, because this is another move. I just want to stick to my plan, by the way. Why bishop h6? Because that's what I said in my tutorial video. You need to play bishop h6, and then after bishop takes, you take back with your knight, and then later on put your knight on f5. So instead of putting my light squared bishop on f5, it is my king's knight which I want to sit on f5. Sometimes we develop it through e7. So bishop h6, just sticking to my Fianchetto Gambit plan. If bishop takes, I'll be happy to take back with my knight. Okay, there we see knight c3. What did I say after knight c3? Okay, so this is a double attack on the d5 pawn. But I can still do something about this. Defending the pawn with c6. How do I do that? By first going knight b4. This is the move that has come to my vision. I'm also attacking the light squared bishop. So if pawn to a3, I'll be glad to take, and then play pawn to c6 to defend my d5 pawn. All I want to do is just to see f takes g6 so that I can take back with my h pawn. But my opponent is doing everything possible to delay f takes g6. For example, you can see they played knight g3. But here, to buy more time, I can just develop my bishop on d7 and prepare to castle long, start attacking on the king side. So you can see my opening stage was very bad and dubious, but I'm still surviving. I'm still fighting. This should speak volume to you guys. It's not just about openings or knowing many openings. But you see, I shouldn't be saying these things because I'm one of those people, you know, who believe in chess courses. Yes, I do. But you can ask anyone who has purchased my courses. They will tell you, I don't just end at, opening level, explaining opening moves. No, I go beyond openings. I also touch some important key moves in the middle game and in the end game. But all I'm saying is, don't just study chess openings alone. You should also find time to solve chess puzzles and practice tactics. If anything, study 30% of chess openings and at least 70% of chess puzzles and tactics. So white just played rook e1. And now I can play rook f8. I don't see anything wrong with this. Pinning the f pawn to the queen. So I'm surviving. I believe I'm still not doing fine. But I'm here to control things. I would love to see bishop takes h6 so that I activate my knight. Yep. So it is my king's knight that I want to put on f5, or in this case I can put it on g4. In most cases, trust me, it's not you who's going to be winning your games. It's actually them who are going to be blundering. You see, what I'm thinking in this position is getting rid of the light squared bishop so that I can take on f5 freely. Yeah, I can do this. And now I don't even have to take on f5 with my knight. I can just take with my pawn so that I open this g file for my king's rook. So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. I think I'm doing better because I'm just one move away from advancing my f pawn, by the way. Oh, now white is attacking my d5 pawn, so I can advance my e pawn to hold everything. And it turns out that my position is great from nowhere. All because of my great endgame skills, I guess. So if there's anything that you need to sharpen even more, is your endgame skills. You need to sharpen your endgame skills more than your opening skills. There's a reason for that, because you see, They say chess is 99% tactics, and it's actually endgames that matter the most. Seems my opponent just left the game, and I can claim victory in 53 seconds, 52 seconds, 50, 49. After all, I don't see anything that they can do. I have the move h5 and h4 coming. Okay, they are back. Hope my opponent was not turning on his engine, Stockfish. In this position, I can just go f5, f4, f3. Just mess up my opponent's pawn structure on the king side. And then let me retreat my knight. I want to put my knight on f4 now. Any of my rooks can occupy the GA square. Can I give a check? Now let me just give a check. I don't know what else I can do here. If knight g3, yep, knight g3, I'm thinking of playing h5. Yeah, let me go pawn to h5. What else? Next, h4. Okay, my opponent just played h4. But maybe now I can play rook g7 just to create a little battery. You can see how tight my defense is. By the way, I believe this is the middle game, not yet the end game. So I'm yet to prove my point. Remember, my opening was very bad, I guess, according to Stockfish. I think let me pave way for my other rook. I might put my G rook on f7. Yep. So I just want to tick. And attack the b2 pawn. Oh, I should have just taken on f3 actually. Maybe trading off all my rooks for white's queen. Wait a second. I should have taken on f3, and after queen takes, I was just going to give up my rook and do that. Oh, my opponent just saved their knight. Yeah, now I can just take anyways. Let me pre-move rook takes as well. So what does this mean? What does this tell you? You can still win your opening stage, but if your endgame is poor, overall you're going to lose the game. Let me just take the pawn. So if there's one phase of the game that you should, pay much attention to, is actually the end game. Yes, keep on studying your openings, but what I'm saying is at least put like 30% effort in your openings or perfecting your openings, and 70% in perfecting your end games. Oh, my opponent just resigned, by the way. I didn't see this. I didn't see that. So my 2292 rated opponent just resigned and is asking for a rematch. Nope. I'm not going to accept a rematch. I'm sure my opponent saw there was no hope because I have the queen and it doesn't have anything. So I guess the reason why my opponent resigned was he knew that if he took on d6, I was just going to play something like knight f6 or knight d6. There was just nothing here. So knight d6 is the move that I was going to play, stopping them from, capturing my d4 pawn, and in no time I was going to give them a check. What about the move knight back to f4? Okay, so this is how bad the position was. I had queen g4 checkmate, and I'm sure I was going to find this move on the board because I believe in my great endgame capabilities. After knight d6, there was no good move that white was going to play. Maybe pawn to c3 for some reason, I don't know. But even after this, I still had queen h3 check, and say after king e2, I was just going to play d3 check, say king d2, then knight c4 check, winning the rook and winning this other knight. So there was just nothing for white after knight d6. So once again, the point is, even though my opening was dubious and somewhat poor, I still had to work for my meal and prove a point in the middle game and in the end game, just to show you guys how important it is to sharpen your end game skills more than anything else. Because chess occurs in 3 stages. There is what we call an opening stage, there's what we call the middle game stage, and the end game stage. So you can master your King's Indian defense, your English opening to the fullest, but that doesn't mean you're going to automatically win the end game. Perfecting your opening skills just makes your life much easier. If anything, you just want to get out of the opening stage safely and remain with a comfortable position in the middle game. So my advice, solve more chess puzzles and chess tactics than studying many openings. Alternatively, you can get my courses or any other good courses on Chessable that don't just teach you opening theories, but also guide you on how to proceed in the middle game and end game. If anything, put more effort in studying end games and solving chess puzzles and tactics than concentrating much on openings. It's not a particular opening that makes you become a better all-round player.